Hello and thank you so much for joining us on this week's presentation of News in Depth, a weekly news documentary program from the TV1 newsroom. My name is Penny Nyirenda, your presenter. Now, the Lusaka City Council has over the years been struggling with solid waste management. This is against the background of increased population and industrialization in Lusaka City. They've had to engage private firms to help in managing solid waste, and these firms are commonly referred to as community-based enterprises. So today on the program, we look at the role of community-based enterprises as we join Macpherson Mukuka.
Lusaka is Zambia's largest city. It serves as the country's commercial center, endorsing its capital city tag. The Soli people were the original inhabitants of the land, but in the 1890s, the British South African Company seized the territory, which had been called Lusaka, in honor of the old Soli state. Later in 1913, the British government gave the area significant recognition as a remote settlement for British administrators and farmers. In 1935, Lusaka became the capital of what was now the Northern Rhodesia colony. Major developments, including infrastructure upgrades, accompanied the capital city designation Lusaka was bestowed with. Outward appearance was an even bigger factor, with trees planted on street sides. Office blocks and even private homes needed to maintain decent surroundings in order to impress the new white settlers. The drastic attention paid towards the outward appearance earned Lusaka the nickname Garden City. Unfortunately, with the passage of time, the name withered. Increased human activities and industrialization in the city is one of the factors seen to have run down the once evergreen town. As a result of the increased population exceeding 3 million, one of the major problems Lusaka is now battling with is indiscriminate waste disposal.
That challenge has also been compounded by the fact that most of the time illegal disposal of waste actually takes place in the night, because we are not there physically as a regulator to be able to identify who's dumping that amount of waste. So that is why we would like to urge members of the communities to really be vigilant. In most of the residential areas, ZEMA will not be physically present, but there's a police service, a police station near your residential area. You don't have to physically come to ZEMA. If you investigate and find a case of illegal dumping of waste or disposal of waste, we encourage people to report even to any police station, and there's a communication channel in which those matters are dealt with between ourselves and other law enforcing agencies.
The problem bothers residents.
This garbage, it has now gone beyond. It's too much. If Lusaka clean as a waste management, they can't manage. Even as cleanest next to godliness. This is bad. It's too much.
Watenga vinyalala waenda watayapayadi ya muzako sichioneka bwino. So tuyena kusamala manyumba yatu.
Poor solid waste management is a global problem, especially in highly populated cities. The United Nations projects that more than 75% of the world's population will be living in cities by 2050, a situation that will more likely result in increased volumes of waste. For Lusaka, the amount of waste collected does not tally with that being generated, as only half of it is taken to the only dump site in Chunga. Official tally puts waste generation in the city at approximately 1 million tons annually.
We still have our containers in specific areas and we still collect. No wonder you find that there are times where you go to certain places where there are containers, the containers are overflowing. Not that the council is not working. The council is working across the city, but unfortunately the type of equipment, the amount of equipment sometimes which we have cannot sustain the operations.
Malfunctioning equipment coupled with stretched financial arms derail the Lusaka City Council's waste management capacity. To ensure effective management of waste, The council has had to engage private waste management companies servicing both the planned and peri-urban areas in the city.
70% of Lusaka is peri-urban, and in the peri-urban areas there are areas which have got no road networks which are quite clear where vehicles for waste management can pass. So what happens there? Waste should be collected, and what system should you use? Well, that's a system now where we use the community-based enterprises, who are commonly referred to as CBEs. So the CBEs collect waste within the 16 waste management districts, but of course concentrating on is it in areas where the road network is not good, so that they are now they come from within the communities. These are small companies coming from within the communities, working within the communities, and the Lusaka City Council subsidizes their operations.
The birth of community-based enterprises, commonly referred to as CBEs in short, is seen to have brought sanity in waste collection. George Mwamba runs a CBE in Lusaka's Kaunda Square Stage 1.
It's a passion that has been there because usually in most of the houses that I was living at the corner. And you find that at the corner, that's where most of the people in the community were dumping their waste. So even when I came here in Kaunda Square, there was a heap of garbage at my yard. So I started taking that waste. That's where the interest started. Even when they said form the company, I didn't even think of forming the company. But I came in to do that because I realized there was no one who was interested. So I just said, let me do it, and then maybe people in the long run will come and join. Otherwise, it was not my intention to do this.
Mr. Mwamba shared his experiences in the business.
We couldn't manage to hire the trucks, so that's when I came up with the initiative of making these pushy carts you see here. It was my own design. First it was two-wheel. Then after seeing the way the guys were struggling, I had to improvise and put another tire there. But honestly speaking, this is not a business you just wake up one day and say, no, look, there's 1,000 houses here, and then you say, okay, by 30 kwacha I'll be getting so much. That's totally different.
His work in Kaunda Square makes residents happy.
Awo ndisokondwera maningi ndaba kudala benze kuti atenzo kumba vichani vimigoti kumbuyo notairamu so asembe sibabwera kuchita collector ngati asembe titayi muzi wakolera ni chintu chovutisa maningi. So as a result ngati babwera tilipira batitengera pamanyumba patu pankala clean.
If I pay 30 kwacha a month, I can't fail to someone to come and pick a cabbage for me. It is wrong. If they can't come and pick up my the waste management come and get my garbage, I can go and complain so that they can send their boys to come and get my garbage.
Other stakeholders in the environmental management sector have appreciated the work of CBEs. Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, is one of them.
I'd like to begin by applauding the efforts of community-based enterprises in addressing the issues of waste management in the country, because without a doubt, improper waste management is one of the challenges that we're dealing with as a country. There are a number of organizations, community-based enterprises that are specifically collecting waste from residential areas. Some of them operate in Lusaka, for instance. Some of them operate under Lusaka City Council. They are authorized to collect waste in those particular areas, and ZEMA specifically licenses the Lusaka City Council for transportation of waste as well as operation of the disposal site. We also have certain companies, the bigger companies themselves are licensed directly by ZEMA for transportation of waste and collections.
Equally happy with the operation of these community-based enterprises is the Zambia Environmental Health Training Network.
We want to appreciate the works that the community-based enterprises are doing in different locations, in different areas in our country, that is in our country, Zambia. Well, the CBEs are doing a very good job, a very recommendable job. And in the way we are working with them, we're working with them in different ways. In that, one, we want to ensure that they scale up in their timings of collecting waste in different areas.
The local authority is appreciative of the role of CBEs. Lusaka City Council admits that they would not have managed the waste management situation by themselves.
The CBEs have been quite useful because if we had no CBEs, I don't think we would have even reached the extent which we've reached. The CBEs have really worked quite hard to ensure that they help reduce the amount of waste which we are seeing. And I can tell you that there are quite a number of community-based enterprises which are doing very well because they've grown. We've seen them grow from just as being a basic CBE to now owning equipment or vehicles which they are able to use to transport their waste to different points.
One big problem affects the waste management story in the capital city because not all residents value the need to subscribe to waste collection. While some households in Kaunda Square Stage 2 have committed themselves to pay the required 30 kwacha for the waste to be collected from their homes, others have resorted to dump the waste indiscriminately, as can be seen behind me. In Kaunda Square and other surrounding areas, people have continued dumping waste in drainages and on the roadsides. This is despite Mr. Mwamba and his team of 21 officers making efforts by following the residents to their respective homes. And Mr. Mwamba has described the action as unpatriotic.
There are three folds of people avoiding pain. It's either you go and dump, it's either he has dug a pit, or he's burning. Those who want to avoid the pain, that's what they do. What we are doing, we keep on engaging them, because if we completely stop, which means their mindset will still be stuck in the old ways. So we keep on engaging them to say, you see, the best thing to do is for you to pay. And you know, if you dig a pit, your next door neighbor is complying. So the cholera would come out from your pit and kill an innocent what? Neighbor who is even complying. So it's better for all of us to comply. And the charge we are charging is very little. If you look at 30 kwacha, which means we are just charging 1 kwacha per day. And then the person we are charging 1 kwacha per day generates about 3.5 kg of waste per day.
Likewise, this negative attitude by some residents has not gone down well with Zambia Environmental Management Agency and Zambia Environmental Health Training Network.
For us to achieve the goal of taking our country to a clean, green and healthy nation, we have to subscribe to waste management. It is only when we subscribe to waste management that the CBEs and the council at large will be able to manage to pick our waste, the waste that we generate. It should be our mandate to ensure that we contribute to the waste, because we are generating waste every day.
Digging a pit behind your backyard as a form of waste disposal is illegal. In addition, burning of waste regardless, so even if it's just leaves or paper, burning of waste is illegal under the Environmental Management Act number 12 of 2011. So what that means is that all individuals, regardless of location, have no choice but to subscribe to a waste management collector. In this particular case, we're talking about the community-based enterprise.
Away from the residents' inability to support waste management services, one of the subscribers talked to in Kaunda Square has called on the local authority to carry the garbage bins on time.
Lusaka City Council bazitiretera mu Lusanga vimabini vakuti vamwamba vazitairamo. Unlike mwamba vakatenga mabini mkomboni nguno vakafika kuja wapeza kulibe. So naise kuno kuti vazibwera kuchita correct ma garbage yatu vamachedwa kai kulibe ko vitaira. So Lusaka City Council vaikeko nzedu kuleta musanga vaziona kuti abantu vachita ntchito zabwino mkomboni. So ngati Lusaka City Council sivareta musanga vija vimabinzi chizamba kulenga kuti isefuti vinyala vizifu paka mkomboni na kolera ingatigwire.
And Zema says it will find ways of working with the local authority to ensure the council collects waste on time.
This is a situation not just peculiar to Lusaka. There's a general lapse for many local authorities in the country regarding waste management. And the community-based enterprises actually have authority from the local authority to operate in the areas in which they're operating. It means they are carrying out a delegated authority on behalf of the local authority. And it is really unfortunate that even where residents are paying for that service, that those lapses are happening. We would on a long-term basis, ZEMA is engaging the local authorities to try and find ways of addressing that challenge of improving waste management in the country.
However, the local authority has other intentions regarding the provision of secondary collection services to CBEs. Mr. Mulwanda says this is because the local authority wants to allow community-based enterprises to make use of their own transport to the dump site.
This is a PPP kind of arrangement where we are working with them. Of course, even as they are transporting the waste, we are not charging them as they are supposed to be charged at the landfill, because other people pay at the landfill. We ensure that we reduce the cost of them transporting the waste. So as a council, we are not pulling out, we are collecting, but we want to collect we create a situation where waste should not be accumulating in these communities. When they have accumulated, like when council has a challenge on equipment, because we use equipment, if the equipment is broken down, the CBEs should be able to find alternatives. No wonder we are saying let the CBEs be more capable. Unlike previously, if a council vehicle is down, they will wait until the council equipment is worked on, and they won't stop bringing waste at those sites, and that is what we are saying no to.
To help the council provide quality waste collection services to locals, HIVOS Zambia, an international non-governmental organization, has come up with a robust waste management plan they are calling Waste Lab.
So the Waste Lab is HIVOS contribution to the UN Urban Agenda on the Cities program. What it seeks to achieve is basically to make cities more livable, and also to get maximum contributions from the citizens themselves in their participation in development issues that they face as they live in the various cities. So for Lusaka, the problem that was identified was waste management.
The Waste Lab is also designed to bridge the gap between the local authority and residents in waste collection and management.
We are coming in as HIVOS to supplement their efforts, create awareness. We are going to have more awareness campaigns in terms of what people are getting out of this. And on the other hand, we will work with other stakeholders like the community-based enterprises to kind of help them with capacity building in whatever they may need. It could be maybe access to financing from our own institutions like CEC, or even with the banks. We are coming in as a medium to see how we can increase the capacity of other stakeholders as well.
Kaunda Square has over 1,736 households, but less than half the number is subscribed to waste collection services. And Mr. Mamba has charged that lack of support of the CBEs by most residents in respective areas has hampered their ability to perform well. He is also of the view that the local authority needs to tighten its bylaws on waste management.
The compliance levels of people to pay, that has hampered this business. Otherwise, the 30 kwacha that we are charging, if everyone was paying, we are able to sustain ourselves and then pay even the workers. But paying has been a problem. People want to pay when they want. The other challenge is again is the bylaw. The bylaw is literally weak. It's just a document that does not do anything. If you look at the bylaw, it's a very good document. If you followed, anyone can comply. But it's not followed. It has got no one to implement it.
And the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, feels the existing gap is as a result of lack of awareness on the part of both parties. Corporate Affairs Manager Irene Chipili says there is need to conduct a comprehensive sensitization campaign for people to know the importance of waste collection.
In addition to the gap that you have mentioned, in 2016 we commissioned a study at Zambia Environmental Management Agency in collaboration with the Central Statistical Office, where we conducted a survey in selected parts of the country to assess the levels of awareness on the environment. And for sure, the findings showed that we have very low levels of awareness in general on the environment. And I think, as you've indicated, for waste management, we see it predominantly in the amount of litter or indiscriminate disposal of waste that is happening on our streets or residential areas.
A proposal has been made by the Lusaka City Council for the community-based enterprises, CBEs, to start working on separating waste at source. Edgar Mlwanda says this way, the CBEs will increase on the period taken to fill the garbage bins and reduce on the frequency of transportation and cost.
We've been running workshops with the community-based enterprises on how best they can maximize their profits. And how do they maximize their profits is by ensuring that they engage into recycling. As a council, we are promoting recycling activities. We are working with projects like Manja Pamozi, which is encouraging recycling of waste from the different generation points. And we've ensured that there's community-based enterprises also tap into recycling of waste. And how are they doing it? We are asking them to ensure that they start sorting out their waste so that they reduce the amount of waste going to the landfill. Because if you got a lot of waste taken to the landfill, meaning your transportation costs will be high.
The cooperating partners share a similar thought with the local authority.
One of the interventions we are working on is to see and encourage more of community-based enterprises sorting out waste from the residential areas so that what doesn't have to go to a disposal site does not have to go there. You know, they can separate their waste from source as well as sell what is recyclable to possible companies.
We have advised them to be giving residents 3 kinds of plastics, where to start with, the residents can know to say, okay, this clear plastic, we're going to put different kind of waste. Maybe in this black plastic, we're going to put bottles. Let's say maybe plastic bottles. In the clear plastic, we're going to put these recyclable bottles. And in the other plastic, we're going to put organic materials.
Zambia Environmental Health Training Network National Coordinator Eddie Ngoma feels CBEs must be trained for them to effectively collect waste.
What the CBEs lack mainly is a bit of training so that they can know exactly what to do. But otherwise, the complaints coming from different areas of the participation of these CBEs, it's not encouraging. Therefore, I would urge also the Lusaka City Council to keep an eye on these CBEs so that they can do the correct thing.
But Mr. Mwamba says there is little money in waste separation or recycling as compared to the collection of waste.
There's no money in waste recycling. Others are saying there's money, but as for me, if you look at that one, it's a 1,000 kg bag, okay? And when I weigh it, when it is full, it will only go up to 40 kg. So 40 kg times 50 ngwe, you can see. So those are the challenges. Yes, we are working very well with them. Actually, they have helped us to reduce the waste that is going at the dump site.
Further, the community-based enterprises want programs like Keep Zambia Clean to be rolled out in places where waste management is a challenge. Mr. Mwamba also wants Zema to set up offices in peri-urban areas to ensure facilitation of prosecutions of perpetrators of indiscriminate waste disposal.
Let's have a waste management officer in the community. Civic center is the only office. Imagine if a neighbor has an issue or anyone in the community, he would think of, can I spend money to go just and say, no, Bamukuka is disposing waste to Lusaka City Council? They won't go. So if we had an officer in the community, it's easy to begin to engage from the community. Cleanliness starts from our homes.
And he was regional project manager for sustainable cities, Mangiza Chongo, has also called for penalties on defaulters.
I think we actually do have enough bylaws and other policy guidelines in terms of waste management. However, I think the problem has to do with implementation, lack of implementation by our policy-making bodies. So even then, it's just the challenges that are facing in making sure that these are actually implemented, and they do need our support.
Zema too is emphasizing on the need for polluters to pay for their waste.
Every individual generates waste regardless of location, because by human nature, we are generating waste. So it is every individual's responsibility. So we want to remind individuals and members of the community to pay for waste management services, because if we can all pay for waste management services, then we are indirectly, actually, in fact we are both directly and indirectly supporting that community-based entrepreneur or enterprise that is collecting waste for different purposes.
For the Lusaka City Council, establishment of a fast-track court and prosecuting non-compliant residents will make things easy for them.
We would want to use much of the fast-track court now for those people who are not paying. We want to ensure that people start paying for the waste service which is provided. You are aware that when waste is not collected, people will complain that council is not doing as much. But council is every time trying to collect waste which accumulates, and for us to collect that accumulated waste, we use resources, and no one is paying for that. We want to reduce the amount of money we use for collecting and paid for waste, and we can only do that by ensuring that people are paying for their waste. And how do we ensure that? By one, tariff bundling, and also enforcement of the law.
It is evident that waste management is still a challenge, not only in Lusaka but also other parts of the country. For Lusaka, it could be worse because of the high population, which is believed to have triggered huge volumes of waste generation. With the emergence of community-based enterprises and other related interventions, it is hoped that Lusaka and the country at large will be able to manage waste by 2050. However, this will only be dependent on the residents' willingness to subscribe to waste collection services in their respective vicinities.
We've come to the end of this week's program, where Macpherson Mukoka was looking at the role of community-based enterprises in solid waste management. We do hope that you found this week's program informative. Join us again next week for yet another interesting news documentary right here on News in Depth. My name is Penifa Nyirenda, saying goodbye and God bless you.